I'm being joined in the studio by Abdullahi Adamu, Programs Officer, Public and Private Development Center. Thank you for joining us, Abdullahi.
Thank you so much.
So you were at the National Assembly today?
Yes.
Were you there yesterday for the protest?
Yes, I was there yesterday.
And you're there today?
Exactly.
I mean, what did you find? Are you happy with the results, what you saw today? The Senate has revised itself. I mean, we had a senator here who said that it has never happened before where the Senate or a governor will make a decision and then revise itself. But now this has happened. Are you happy with the revision?
I am not happy at all.
So why are you not happy with this revision?
Well, looking at the outcome, the turn-up of the people that presented themselves at the National Assembly, the turnout was very high. People, the citizens of Nigeria, are raising their concerns to the Senate of the National Assembly. So, Senate are not, it is the citizens of Nigeria that voted for all the members that are at the National Assembly. So why is it that it's taking time for the senators to act on the demand of the citizens of the country? Now, let's refer back to 2019 and 2023. We had about 83 million registered voters in 2019. And then the turnout as at then in 2019 was about 34%. Only 34% of over 83 million voters, registered voters, participated in 2019 election. And then going to the 2023 election, there were about 92 to 93 million registered voters in Nigeria. And to my greatest surprise, it was only about 27% of those number that turned up for that for the election. So the thing is worrisome. The citizens of Nigeria are losing interest in participating in election, which is we know that election is one of the core principles of democracy. Now, let's even refer back to what democracy is in Nigeria. Of course, we know it's a Greek word. Demo means people, and crazy, demo means people, and crazy means the power. So people have the power to choose the leaders that they want, and then also to hold those leaders accountable, and also to participate in decision making. So I was not happy with the turnout that people are demanding for electronic transmission of results, and then the Senate are taking time. This is we are moving forward. Like Nigeria, we are left behind. We should look at the developed countries. We should look at what they are doing. Some other countries that are developed are looking of how to prevent themselves from external attacking in cyber crime and all of that. And then here in Nigeria, we are only trying to be debating on electronic transmission of results. I think it's high time we move forward and advance in this aspect. Okay,
we also have Idris Zekeri, a political activist, joining us from our newsroom. Hello, Idris.
Hello, good evening, and thank you for having me. An absolute delight to be here.
Thank you for joining us, Idris. So, I mean, Abdullahi has talked about the fact that Nigerians appear to be losing interest in the electoral process because of the activities of the politicians, more or less in the legislature. But what's your take? You were there for the protest, and what's your take? Even though the Senate has revised itself, though incompletely, according to some Nigerians.
Thank you. That's a very good question. One of the things I have noticed as someone who came from the fringe of town, when I came from my state, Edo State, to Abuja, particularly for this protest, is that the people who are living in this city, especially those in the political class, are completely disconnected from the realities of the country that they are pretending to govern. The message was clear. I think what the Senate did today is even a reversal of INEC guideline of 2022. INEC guideline of 2022 made it compulsory that there will be electronic transmission of results, mandatory real-time electronic transmission of polling unit results. What we expected the Senate to do, and the House of Rep had already done, is to now elevate that instruction of INEC, that guideline of INEC, into law so that it can become something you take to court. The lawyers will call it either litigable or justiciable, whichever one is appropriate. I'm not a lawyer. But what we've seen them do is attempt to listen to Nigerians and then create a leeway, an off-ramp to do the election the way they want to do it. How can you probably say that there is mandatory electronic transmission of results, and in the same breath say that you can now, but when there is no network, you will have to depend on the paper. Of course, we are going to depend on the paper. The legally recognized way of collation of results is the Form EC8A, which is the result sheet. Now, what we are now saying, if you upload electronically, we can see the winner in real time. It makes rigging impossible. It makes rigging difficult. But what they've done is that they've again betrayed the trust of Nigerians. And they always bank on the fact that protesters like us, those of us who came in here to protest, we get tired. I can promise them, so help me God, 2027 election will not be rigged. And I always say it is only a thief that will be afraid of fixing CCTV camera in your office. I'm in your office now. I'm not here to steal. I am not worried about the CCTV camera. The electronic transmission of results is electoral CCTV camera, and only thieves will be afraid of that. I give you one more fact so that I don't take up all the air in the room. In 2018, INEC did a research by themselves without any prompting from any of us who are crying today, that they attempted to check the number of polling units that are covered by network coverage. As of 2018, this is 2026, 8 years later, 2018, they discovered that 92% of the polling units in Nigeria are covered by network coverage. All of a sudden, the senators in Nigeria no longer have network in their village because they do not want to face elections, or do not want to face the people in elections, because election is essentially between them and the people. Now, I will conclude by saying this. If you claim to be popular, if you know you have run your race and you have run it to the full, if you know you have been effective in the positions that you were elected to be in, you should not be afraid of election. As a matter of fact, anything that promotes transparency in election should be a welcome development to you.
All right. Abdullahi, just before we let you go here. So now that the Senate has done this and leaving out the real-time, the missing part, the real-time clause, do you think you'll be back on the streets to protest, or you think this should suffice for now while the committee works on this bill?
I can say no retreat, no surrender. Of course, the masses, the citizens of Nigeria are watching the leaders that are at the Senate. So definitely, we'll wait, we'll pause a bit and look at the reaction of the Senate. Otherwise, Nigerians still stand on what they are saying. And then let me refer back to the previous reports of the European Union Election Observation Mission. I could vividly recall that in their previous reports, they made mention that polling units transmission of results, that's using EC8A, is one of the weakest vulnerable points in the whole election process. So I am calling on the Senate to look at this. If we are really working on the recommendations by civil society organizations like PPDC, Yaga Africa, and other civil society organizations, we should look back on the previous reports of those civil society organizations and build on what they have been recommending for both INEC, for the government, and for the lawmakers.
Thank you so much. We've been speaking with Abdullahi Adamu, Programs Officer, Public and Private Development Center, who joined us in the studio, and Idris Zekeri, a political activist, joining us from our newsroom. Thank you, gentlemen, for coming in this evening.
Thank you.